my beloved child. God has preserved the right time for you, and the hour you have awaited for so long is now beginning to open before your eyes. What is about to change is not limited to a few outward circumstances, but includes the way you see yourself, the way you walk, and the way you receive the future. I know you have often wondered why your road seemed longer than the roads of others, and why sincere prayers appeared to pass through so many silent years before receiving an answer. But today, I want you to become still and understand that not one day of waiting was wasted. Every tear, every night you suffered quietly, and every time you rose after hope seemed shattered was bringing you toward this very place. A new chapter is opening, and you will not enter it as the former person who lived in fear, but as someone refined deeply enough to receive something great while preserving humility. You passed through valleys so long that at times you believed light would never return. There were burdens that seemed greater than your strength, responsibilities no one shared, and wounds you did not know how to describe to anyone. Yet you are still here. You still preserved faith after repeated disappointment, maintained kindness after being treated unjustly, and retained a desire to build even after witnessing many things fall apart. This was not luck, my child. It is evidence that the goodness placed within you was not extinguished by darkness. God saw every time you continued moving while no one encouraged you. He remained near during the days when you believed you had been left behind, quietly steering you away from roads that would have wounded you more deeply and preparing you for responsibilities you were not yet strong enough to carry. Therefore, do not call the period behind you punishment. A skilled craftsman does not sharpen a sword because he despises it, but because he knows it will be used for an important purpose. Trials taught you to distinguish what was genuine from what was only appearance, who remained because of love, and who appeared only while you had something to offer. Delay taught patience. Rejection taught you not to place your worth in another person's approval. Starting again taught you that failure cannot determine the final destination. You were shaped during very quiet days, and this is what makes you steady enough to enter a wider season without losing yourself. Remember Joseph, who was pushed into darkness, taken away from his family, deprived of freedom, and forced to live for years under circumstances he had not chosen. Outsiders may have believed he had been forgotten, yet every stage was quietly preparing him for greater responsibility. What appeared to contain only injustice became a school of wisdom. What seemed to have no future taught him how to manage, understand people, and remain steady in authority without allowing evil to change his heart. When the right time came, the door opened quickly, but he could enter because the preceding years had formed him into someone capable of standing in the new position. The same is true for you. What you call delay may be preparation that cannot be skipped. God does not merely want to remove you from adversity. He wants you to become wise enough not to return to the former cycle. The new season is not arriving so that you can force every door to open. What truly suits you will not require you to exchange peace, dignity, or integrity in order to obtain it. You lived for so long as though you had to fight for every small thing that you may no longer know how to receive. But I want you to learn how to open your hands without panic. Stop assuming that everything good will be taken away as soon as you touch it. Stop sabotaging opportunities merely because the past made you accustomed to disappointment. What is coming requires a grateful heart, an orderly mind, and hands ready to work. Prosperity does not mean only possessing more money. It is the ability to manage what you have without living beneath the authority of lack. Peace does not mean the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to maintain direction even when circumstances remain imperfect. Purpose is not merely a great title. It is using what has been entrusted to you to bring benefit, hope, and support to others. Therefore, do not wait for an outward sign before beginning to change. God has prepared the road, but you must take your own step. Complete what you have delayed. Bring order to what has become chaotic. Learn what needs to be learned, and end the habits that continually return you to the old place. If you desire financial stability, become honest about the way you use every small amount. If you desire restored health, respect your need for rest. Eat properly and seek appropriate support when necessary. If you desire healthy relationships, stop reopening the door to disrespect simply because you fear loneliness. Faith is not sitting still while waiting for everything to change on its own. Faith is doing what is right today, even though you cannot yet see tomorrow's complete result. You do not need a number, a public declaration, or a performance to attract heaven's attention. God knew you before you knew how to name your own pain. True readiness is not proven through one emotional minute, but through the way you live after receiving the reminder. It is seen when you keep your word without anyone checking. Treat kindly those who cannot repay you, and reject dishonest roads even when they promise quicker results. These quiet choices become the strongest declaration that you are ready for the new season. What God gives you must do more than make you happy temporarily. It must become a source through which you build a sustainable life. Look at David, a young man who was considered insignificant even within his own family, while others saw only an ordinary shepherd. God saw leadership being formed during hidden days. People often judge by appearance, circumstance, and what can be seen at the moment. But God sees the character preserved when no one is watching. David's years in the wilderness were not forgotten time. They were the place where he learned courage, patience, and how to protect what had been entrusted to him. When he faced the giant, he did not need to become a copy of anyone else. He used what he had been trained to use. The same applies to you. Do not assume that you must become like someone else before you can enter your purpose. What is already in your hands, though it appears small, can become the instrument that opens the way when used with wisdom and faithfulness. Your past is not your final name. Mistakes do not make you useless. They can become lessons that help you walk more carefully. Losses do not prove that you are cursed. They may help you recognize what is truly valuable. The times when you felt small did not mean you lacked worth. Often, they were places where pride was removed so that strength could exist alongside gentleness. The world may see only marks left by battles, but God sees someone who passed through fire while preserving a pure heart. He does not lift you so that you can make others feel inferior, but so that the light within you can guide those passing through darkness you once knew. When a new opportunity appears, enter it with humility. Do not allow those who once looked down upon you to become the reason you feel compelled to prove something. If you build the future merely to answer the past is still governing you. Build because you have healed enough to create what is good, because you want your family to leave old cycles behind, and because you understand that resources possess meaning only when they are used to bring life. When more is entrusted to you, share wisely, but preserve boundaries. When you receive recognition, remain grateful without becoming dependent upon praise. When a great door opens, remember the days you knocked quietly so that compassion remains within you. My beloved child, the stage is not being prepared for you to perform perfection, but for you to live truthfully according to what has been formed through years of testing. You do not need to know everything that will happen. You need only take the nearest correct step. Perhaps that means beginning a plan, repairing a relationship, leaving an environment that drains you, or learning to trust again after repeated disappointment. Do not underestimate small steps. A great field begins with one seed placed correctly, and a new life often begins through a decision no one knows except you. Now, lift your head and move forward in peace. God is not waiting for you to become perfect before He can use you. He is waiting for you to stop hiding behind fear and begin remaining faithful to what is already entrusted to you. This moment does not promise that every difficulty will disappear overnight, but it announces that you will no longer face them as the former person. You have become stronger, wiser, and clearer about what deserves protection. A true breakthrough is beginning within and will spread into the way you choose. Work, love, and build the future. I am beside you to remind you that you did not pass through everything without purpose. Enter the new chapter with gratitude, because preparation has completed its work. And now it is time to live as someone ready to receive. Preserve and spread the goodness placed into your hands. You are wondering why this moment is calling you. But I want you to understand that I am not searching for someone perfect. I am searching for a heart willing to move despite its limitations. You often look at your shortcomings and decide that you are unqualified to receive great responsibility. You remember the times you spoke wrongly, chose wrongly, delayed too long, or lost an opportunity, and then conclude that someone like you cannot be used for anything noble. But I do not judge you as people usually judge one another. Beneath your fear, I see a heart still longing for what is right. Beneath every fall, I see someone who has never truly abandoned hope. You are not called because you have become complete in every way. You are called because amid everything unfinished, you still possess the ability to listen, learn, and change. Remember Moses, who doubted his voice, his ability, and even his capacity to stand before others. He saw his limitations so clearly that he wanted someone else to take his place. But what I needed from him was not a man who never trembled. I needed someone who would eventually walk despite his fear. The staff in his hand was an ordinary object, but when placed within obedience, it became the sign of a great mission. You are also holding things that appear small, experience gained through hardship, an ability not yet fully developed, a voice you have hidden, or an opportunity you have been afraid to accept. Do not despise them. I often begin great works through what the world considers insignificant, so that you understand, strength does not arise from a flawless appearance, but from the willingness to be guided. Now I am telling you to remain in stillness long enough to hear what is happening within you. Do not rush in another direction merely because the calling makes you uncomfortable. Do not use busyness to cover the question you have avoided. There is something you know you need to do, but doubt has caused you to delay. There is a conversation you need to begin, a habit that must end, a decision that should be made, or a dream that must be brought back into the light. I do not require you to prove your readiness through a number, a comment, or any external sign. The true response is revealed through the way you live after this moment. When you say that you are listening, let it be seen through a specific step, new discipline, and courage to do what is right, even when no one recognizes it. The transformation coming to you is not a desperate race to seize goodness. It resembles a stream that has begun moving, quietly but persistently finding a way through hard layers of earth and stone. Some obstacles made you believe your life would remain trapped forever. But something more enduring is awakening within you. Discernment will help you see the choices fear once concealed. Courage will help you leave environments that wore away your dignity. Wisdom will teach you to manage resources rather than merely praying for circumstances to change. Peace will gradually become the foundation upon which you build a life no longer led by panic. Financial difficulty is not necessarily a sentence over your future. It may be a reminder to learn how to organize, practice restraint, develop your abilities, and stop giving money permission to determine your worth. Broken relationships are not proof that you are unworthy of love. They may teach you to distinguish attachment from dependency, compassion from enabling, and a connection that needs healing from a door that needs to close. The exhaustion within you does not mean the fire has gone out. Perhaps you have simply fought too long without giving yourself permission to rest. Pray, listen, and care for the places that hurt. I am not pushing you into another cycle of haste. I am calling you to change direction from within, so that what is built outside can stand upon a healthier foundation. You must remain awake, because many opportunities are missed, not because they never appear, but because fear prevents people from entering. The most painful regret sometimes arises not from what you did wrongly, but from knowing what was right and delaying until the door closed. Some people waited until they felt completely confident before acting, but that feeling never came. Others waited for every condition to become favorable and eventually discovered that life rarely offers a perfect time. I do not want you to live recklessly, but neither do I want you to turn caution into a hiding place for fear. Examine, pray, prepare, and then move. You do not need certainty about the entire road. You need only honesty about the step illuminated before you. Remember Jonah, who ran in the opposite direction because he did not want to face the calling placed upon him. He believed changing his location would allow him to escape what had been placed in his heart. But running away only brought more storms into the journey. You may change jobs, relationships, cities, or fill every space in your schedule. But if the inward matter is not faced, it will follow you. I do not tell you this story to frighten you or to suggest that every hardship is punishment. I want you to understand that avoidance often makes something simple and become more complicated. When you know you need to apologize, apologize. When you know you need boundaries, establish them. When you know a road is no longer right, become courageous enough to leave. Peace often begins when you stop running from the truth. But also, look at David, who stood before an enemy that terrified an entire army. He had no magnificent armor and no weapon that impressed others. But he understood what had been formed in him during hidden days. Before facing the giant, before a crowd, he learned courage while no one watched. The stone in his hand was not powerful because it was extraordinary. It became useful because it was held by a prepared hand and guided by a mind that refused to be controlled by the fear of others. Your giant today may be debt, fear of rejection, procrastination, a long-standing habit, or a memory that still causes you to doubt yourself. I am not telling you to deny its size. I am telling you to stop magnifying it until you forget what has already been placed in your hand. Your stone may be the decision to reorganize your finances. Submit an application. Begin therapy. Persistently learn a new skill. Or speak an honest word you have held back for too long. It may appear small, but a small action performed consistently can overthrow a cycle that has ruled for years. Do not wait for a miracle to perform your responsibility for you. Many forms of deliverance begin when you cooperate with goodness through one practical step. I open the road, but you must walk. I give light, but you must use it to see and choose. I send people to help, but you must become humble enough to receive their support. Do not allow the warning about missed opportunities to become another fear. I am not calling you to act from panic, as though you possess only one chance. I am calling you to act from clarity, because you have remained too long in the condition of knowing but not doing. If you missed a door before, I can still teach you through it and guide you toward another road. Grace is not so fragile that one mistake can destroy your entire future. Yet, grace is not an excuse to continue delaying. It is the hand that lifts you, so that this time you can walk more wisely, humbly, and faithfully. Therefore, my beloved child, stop continually asking why it must be you. Begin asking what you can do with what has been entrusted to you. Your imperfections do not disqualify you from the mission. When brought into the light, they teach dependence, compassion, and humility. Past failures do not make you useless. They can become experience that keeps you from repeating the same path. What I need is not a person who has never been wrong, but someone who no longer permits mistakes to rule them. Remain long enough to hear. Then rise with enough courage to act. This moment does not need to be anchored through an outward sign. Anchor it through today's decision. You will not run, diminish yourself, or allow the giant to continue occupying the territory intended for your growth. Take what is in your hand, move forward, and allow your obedience to become the place where the extraordinary begins. What I am speaking to you is not temporary comfort, but confirmation that the years you passed through pain, doubt, and waiting were never considered meaningless. My beloved child, I saw every time you tried to rise despite having little strength left. I saw the nights you remained awake with unanswered questions, and the mornings when you stepped outside with a smile while carrying so much heaviness within. There were moments when you wondered whether your dreams were too great and whether your deepest desires were merely stories you created to comfort yourself. Sometimes you prayed for a long time without seeing any sign, and you began to question whether your voice had been heard. But I never turned away from you. Every tear was known to me. Every silent prayer reached the highest place, and every step of faith quietly opened the road toward today. I know you became tired of hearing that you needed to be patient a little longer. You waited for so long that sometimes even that word caused pain. Yet your waiting was not like a locked room without an exit. It was the place where I protected you from what would have come too early while preparing you for responsibilities greater than you imagined. Not every closed door was rejection. Some closed to keep you from entering a relationship that would have stolen your peace. Some opportunities left your hands because beneath their impressive appearance was a price you should not have paid. Some things were delayed because if you had received them then, you might have used them to prove your worth rather than to serve a good purpose. Now that you have matured, what comes to you will no longer so easily cause you to forget who you are. I am leading you out of a way of living centered only upon survival. You became accustomed to reducing your needs, shrinking hope, and preparing for the worst because that once helped you avoid further disappointment. But you were not created to remain in a defensive posture forever. I am opening a season before you in which finances are ordered through wisdom. Health is cared for with respect, and relationships are chosen with discernment. This does not mean money will appear without the need to learn stewardship, or every pain will disappear overnight. True transformation comes when you cooperate with what I am doing. You face disordered spending honestly. Care for yourself instead of continually pushing beyond your limits. And stop holding on to people who bring only chaos. Remember Joseph, who was cast into darkness by those who should have protected him. He was removed from his home, made a servant in a foreign land, and then subjected to an unjust sentence. To the world, it looked like a chain of failures. Yet in rooms where no one applauded, he was learning management, discernment, integrity, and how to use authority without allowing authority to corrupt him. The prison was not his final place. It was the hidden school for a position he could not yet see. When the time came, the transition happened so quickly that those who knew him in chains could barely recognize the man standing before them with wisdom and authority. Your story does not need to repeat every detail of his, but the principle remains. What you endured is not necessarily evidence that you were rejected. Some wounds taught you to recognize pain in others. Some seasons of lack taught you the value of using resources wisely. Some betrayals forced you to establish boundaries while keeping your heart from bitterness. What once made you cry is gradually becoming discernment. What once caused shame may become a story that gives another person courage to begin again. I do not call pain good, but I can prevent it from having the final word. I transform broken places into openings through which light enters. And from those same places, you will learn how to guide others out of darkness. My beloved child, this word is for you personally. You do not need to look at the person beside you and ask whether they are more deserving. I know your name, the prayers you never spoke aloud, and the dreams you stored away because you feared disappointment. Those dreams may not return in their former shape because you are no longer the same person who dreamed them years ago. Some things will be restored, while others will be purified and raised into a deeper purpose. You once desired success so that those who looked down upon you would be proved wrong. Now, I want you to succeed without continuing to live beneath their gaze. You once desired love merely to fill loneliness. Now, I am teaching you to receive love without losing dignity or freedom. The seeds you thought had died are only resting in a season that could not yet be seen. A seed does not resemble a garden, yet within it already exists the design of roots, stem, leaves, and flowers. When buried, it may appear to have been removed from the light, but the dark earth is where the former shell begins to break. You have lived through such a period. What once defined you is cracking open. Fear of rejection, the need for everyone to understand you, the habit of waiting for permission before acting, and the belief that you possess worth only when you are useful to others, are gradually losing their power. You were not buried. You were taking root. When the new shoot breaks through the earth, it does not ask darkness for permission to reach toward the light. In the same way, you do not need to return and negotiate with old patterns that once kept you trapped. You can move forward without carrying every judgment you heard. You can begin again, even after failure. You can say no without calling yourself selfish. Rest without believing you are lazy. And receive goodness without immediately fearing that it will be taken away. This is the maturity I want to form within you, not merely more external opportunities, but enough inner peace that you do not sabotage the goodness arriving. Do not assume that the new season must first be proven through a large amount of money, a title, or an event that captures everyone's attention. Perhaps the first sign is that you begin sleeping peacefully instead of spending the night thinking about what lies beyond your control. Perhaps it is the day you look at your account without panic and calmly rebuild your plan. Perhaps it is the moment you recognize that someone is not right for you and become strong enough not to return to the same cycle of pain. Perhaps it is only one small idea that you no longer ignore. But begin researching and pursuing one step at a time. Great transformations often begin through quiet decisions no one else sees. I also want you to stop searching for an outward sign to confirm that you are ready. You do not need a number, a comment, or the agreement of a crowd to seal this moment. Let readiness be demonstrated through action. Complete what you have postponed. Care for what you have neglected. Apologize when you know you were wrong. Refuse what you know will lead you back to the person you once were. Learn the skill needed for the door you are asking to open. Faith is not found only in powerful words. It is seen in your steady footsteps through ordinary days.